We are just waiting to go live, and bam, there we are. Quick, quick, quick. I love how that kind of happens just as I'm saying it. It's kind of cool. But anywho, good morning, everyone. What here and all. This is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, Lady Canada, live with two
Sisters, and good morning, everyone. I do apologize for the background noise that should have been completed by now. There's a lot of rocking and rolling going on in the laundry room. I don't want to go in there right now, so I'm just going to refrain. My name is Janice, aka excuse me, Wellness Diva 5.0, and it is Friday Fantabulous, and I believe it's April 23rd. Yes, April 23rd. Can't believe that April is almost over, and coordinating with my tax guy, and we're going back and forth on a few things. So yes, I am one of those late filers, although I do have to point out that
We're not late.
Well, true, but I am typically a last minute person getting everything together, and I wasn't this year. I had my meeting with him like the first or second week in February, which is unheard of for me.
That is true. And our taxes for our business and whatnot have been, you always think, okay, oh, well, we'll be done in a few weeks, and that just doesn't happen. I was happy that they were actually, everything was in, I believe it was the first week of March, maybe the 9th. So it does take time when you're doing joints and all this other happy jazz, and it does occur. But guess what happens on a Fantabulous Friday? A positive mind finds opportunity in everything. So what did that opportunity of maybe hoping that we were trying to get our stuff in early, but yet it didn't develop the way that we wanted to, gave us the other opportunity of looking at other avenues for creative ways that we can get consistently organized, which we've been better at that. And I hope our listeners and our audience is doing that too, because there's so many things out there that are opportunities to help you, to assist you, to make your day fantabulous if you bother to take the time to do that. Now, I often think of, like, for those that do laundry, you're folding laundry, what you often think about when you're folding laundry. You're thinking about probably other things that you could be doing other than folding laundry, but how can you make even the folding laundry opportunity come out to be something positive? Maybe a creative way of reorganizing your drawer. So once everything is folded, boom, 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 it goes in. How many of you fold your clothes and then they stay in the laundry basket? Now, I'll get to that later. So you have to think positively in all aspects of your life. Creating your meals, doing your budgets, making sure your paperwork is organized, laundry, organizing your appointments. Definitely a lot of ways to be creative in that, with calendars that are on your phone, your good old agenda book, your planner to keep you organized. And that's how others can actually, you may find people that you're like, God, they're always doing something fun. They're, concentrating, they've got time for themselves to get their health and wellness in, they're doing their fitness, they're, being creative with their kids being at home. Some still are being remotely. I would say most states are getting back to full time. But the point being is most of the time it's a juggling act, and you have to juggle, but you also have to have a positive mind about the juggling, right? Because if you don't, the juggling, what happens when you're juggling balls? You're juggling so much, eventually just the balls fall, right? But if you are on point with your positive mindset and your organization, that juggling of the balls can be positive, and another opportunity can erupt from that of even something more special. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Think of that when you were just describing when you fold laundry. When I fold laundry, I'm thinking, okay, I gotta get this done, I gotta get that done. But it's also a creative process to, oh my God, the noise is killing me. I'm just gonna say that. It's also a creative time to, think about those projects. And that's where a lot of great thinking comes up, not just with folding your laundry. For me, it also happens to be when I'm on the red mat. And by the way, I just want to give a big shout out to my coach this morning, Dre ILKB. holy ladders of doing burpees. Yes. And I am not a pretty burpee kind of person. So, but anyways, back to the creativeness, that's where things will really start to flow for you instead of thinking, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that. Well, yeah, I have to do that, but how can I make it fun? So I try to see how fast I can take the stuff down, hold it, and put it away.
And it is true. You're kind of having that message in the mirror, that talk in the mirror of how you can improve and organize. But what I love is it does give you the opportunity of maybe possibly something else as you're thinking. A lot of times we don't even allow ourselves that time to kind of like wind down and just digest our own thoughts, because we're, the social media, what TV alerts on your phone. And there are certain things, probably the two most things that gets my thinking rolling and understanding that different possibilities are going to bring me to something even more exciting, is driving, which I know a lot of people cannot stand driving. I absolutely love driving. And most of the time, yes, sometimes I do drive with music so I could, bebop in the car. But a lot of times I'll drive in silence, because there's something about being in that mindset of silent mode that really kind of is a very revealing if you allow yourself to do it. You really start to understand and get lost in your thoughts of where you envision your life, where you envision your health, your wellness, your mindset, your attitude. And a lot of times we need that quiet, because if you really take the time to listen to either the quiet and or nature sounds, it really brings you to a different mind perspective altogether, and probably more thoughts start flowing along with the creativity thoughts and or the accountability thoughts. We all have to be accountable to ourselves. Sometimes we replay a situation, right? You replay an outcome. Could I have done that differently? Could I have chosen different words? And everything that's going on in our country right now with, I chatted about, some pretty high-end athletes that kind of like corporations that get involved too much with politics and too much of their opinion. Now, think about this. We all have opinions, right? We should. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us different. But a lot of times when things occur, we're too much in a rush for judgment, not waiting for information to come out, not even time to digest the whole process and get lost in your thoughts. And I think that happens way too frequently with, I truly believe that a lot of famous, influencers that are out there that are also represented by corporations or different brands believe that for whatever reason, their word is so impactful that they're just going to blurt without doing its own due justice to find out what you're blurting out to begin with. And how many oftentimes when you find your own self in that conversation with someone, and I think the difference between someone like a LeBron James or, someone that's got that influence, we take the time to not only have that conversation with ourselves and with other people that we care about, but we also give ourselves the opportunity to say, geez, you know what, I don't even know if this is true. Or, I didn't really look into it, but this is what I heard. That's a different type of conversation going back and forth, because you're already admitting your humanness, that maybe you don't know all the facts. You're not really sure you saw this clip. What do you think? It's a different type of conversation than someone that's an influencer who shouts out information or tweets or puts something on social media without doing its due diligence to double check what they're even chatting about or tweeting about. So a lot of times an influencer, feels that their apology and or the acceptance is to just take down what they wrote. And for me, that again goes into, that positive mindset. You can be postured and still be wrong. You can still be an influencer and still apologize without removing the tweet, or explain why you're, really removing something. But I think the difference between, the normal person is we do have that ability to kind of get lost in our thoughts, but also have that conversation, good, bad, or indifferent. And a lot of times when we try to really present it in a positive way, even though we might be wrong, it leads us to another positivity or another opportunity to kind of correct itself or not. Where the influencers, they don't take kindly to being accountable for what they do. Their answer to being accountable is just taking something down. And I think that's cowardly. I think that's not postured, because it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to misspeak something that you really weren't sure about. And that's why I love that opportunity of folding clothes and driving in the car with silence, because it does give me the opportunity to replay, rethink how I would do things. Or it also gives me the time to look at opportunities in my head of a different creativity that I didn't think would be possible.
Well, I want to go back to LeBron James for a moment, because it brought up a lot of things for me. And I've said this 100 times, I support anybody's right to free speech. Even though I may not agree with you, even though what you put out there, you may sound like a schmuck. But I think when it comes to the point where you post something, such as LeBron James did, we, the people, supported him and his endeavors to be where he is today. That's a fact. So with that being said, for him to post something that could potentially harm, put in danger a police officer's life, I have a big problem with that. Shame on Twitter, shame on LeBron James. Yes, you definitely had a right to do that, but not at the expense of somebody else's welfare. Not at the expense of potentially his friends and family. How dare you? And then you delete it. You're not only a coward, you are just not worth me even talking about you. So I'm going to leave that where it is. I do want to say something about Twitter, though. Now, you either love President Trump or you don't. Did he tweet? In my opinion, yes, he tweeted too much. Like, oh my God, there he goes again. I personally didn't like that. And I am a big President Trump supporter. And I think a lot of people, do know that. What I have a problem with Twitter is, so you banned President Trump from Twitter because of the things he said or did not say or whatever. But you don't take LeBron James off of Twitter or ban him or whatever it is that you do. So I am really getting tired of the do as I say, or you're a racist, but not as I do, because it's okay if I do it. That's a coward. That's a bully. And I have a few other explicitives, but I'm just going to keep them to myself.
Well,
I feel like I'm getting fired up this week.
I know it. Well, it is, because you realize, and I think we the people, we as a people, as a country, are getting to the point where you have to tune it out. Number one, you really do. If you want to have some sanity, number one, you tune it out. You realize, and again, it goes back to years ago, like decades ago, that starstruck, if this, you saw this particular celebrity and they said buy this brand or, support this cause, you did it. You didn't even think twice about it. But part of the problem is exactly what you said. The narrative truly is a communist. A lot of people talk about socialist. We are way past socialism, people. We are really on the footholds, sadly, of communism. If what keeps going happens. Now, obviously, there were so many things trending yesterday, obviously about the DC state and Congress passing. Now it will go to the Senate. And I was chatting about this with someone. They said, well, you always try to put a positive spin on things. You always, you and your sister really try to, look at all avenues of different things and, are very honest in your opinion, but you're also very open to making sure that no matter what we're chatting about, it always ends in a positive light, because it does. All these things do affect our health and wellness. We talk about fitness. We talk about different new gadgets, great recipes, fitness routines. We're working on our land and water challenge. We talk about that mindset, which is imperative in all aspects of your life. But if you don't have the hope for positivity at the end of the day, whatever the situation is, you've missed a big opportunity to turn things around even in your own day. So what I say about that is, when the news broke about Congress actually passing and now it obviously has to go to the Senate, and a lot of people are concerned, well, is Senate going to vote party lines? Well, what is going to happen is this should be an eye-awakening situation. So the positive spin is, now does the American people understand why certain people were trying to get rid of the filibuster? Mm-hmm. In our Constitution, and when I look about, you want to think about it. You think about the forefathers of our country, and you think about how very smart, how very intelligent they were. They designated DC as a neutral district, basically. It's a neutral district, but there was a reason for it. There was always a method to their madness, put it that way. There's a reason for everything that they did and what they wrote. They were very, I think, when you think about how they had the foresight to see all different scenarios, the intelligence and the gift that they were blessed with to really unravel every opportunity, possibility, obviously, centuries ago. So, I mean, when you think about that, it kind of blows your mind. And I think, truth be told, that every time politicians or citizens try to veer away from our Constitution of what our forefathers were smart enough and intelligent enough to really take cause and effect of every situation, is it ends up in a historically disastrous situation. It just does. So they were very innovative of their time. And I think the positive that came out from hearing this information, at least I hope for most, is that now they get a really understanding of what certain people in our government are trying to do and how wrong it is. The pieces are starting to match and actually fit the puzzle. So when we talk about what happened a year ago, I mean, I remember certain things that bothered me about Biden's campaign. To give you an example, talking about, would he pack the court? He would never answer the question. The pipeline, wouldn't answer the question. Fracking, no fracking, was never truthful about the answer. And the subject of DC, quote, becoming a state, which we know from our Constitution cannot be, he wouldn't answer the question. That was like, what, a year ago, 9 months ago? And look where we are today. The pipeline, fracking, no fracking.
The border crisis.
Packing the court.
The filibuster.
The filibuster issues of them, the reasons really, because there's always a story. We always talk about there's a story behind a story. So all the things that he refused to identify, answer, have that conversation is what's really on our plates today. So how can we, hold on one second, how can we spin that to a positive? And I hope now that they had the balls to bring this to a vote and to win that vote, now that goes on to Congress, which Senate is going to filibuster. And I do believe that there are going to be some Democrats that are going to realize the finality of this decision and what it would do to our Constitution, because even if it would have to go to the Supreme Court, they can't just, the filibuster is all about that. It has to go to a 60 vote. And I think there are some very rational people on both sides of the aisle that will do our forefathers proud. And I hope the positive that came out from this was that light bulb moment for those that really doubted, when people were asking these questions, says, oh, he's not going to do that. Just vote him in. And this is what's happening. The price of lumber, the price of everything has gone skyrocketed. Everything that there were the concerns that those in different social media circles that brought these things up, and everyone laughed at them. I mean, how many times have you had that conversation with friends or family or even online? And people will, they would get indignant over it and get mad. That's not happening. You don't know what you're talking about. But this is where we are now. So instead of the whole I told you so moment, it brings you a positive moment that there's still hope in the world that maybe people get it now. Go ahead.
There is always hope in that world, but I do want to address in a respectful manner the people that did vote for Joe Biden. I've asked this question several times, even before the election. Do you know what you're voting for? So now, obviously, and I refer to him many times as fake 46. I'm sorry, not my president, not my president. I've said that. So now that he is number 46 or whatever it is, how does that voter feel now that they voted this person in? Because I'm really curious to know.
And I think that's a great question. And sadly, I don't think people can, and it really is not, and I want to make sure that we're clear with our viewers and our audience. It's not to put you off guard. It's not a I told you so moment. It's none of those things. It's really understanding that we all have an obligation. And sometimes we have to learn that. And we learn it in a really hard way because there's consequences for what we do. There's consequences for our vote. Just like Maxine Waters and all the other craze that are out there that represent your district and your state, we the people have some responsibility in that. And we have to be accountable to ourselves that we didn't just get here without us being involved in it. And maybe the positive that comes out of that is people will be more apt to be open to have that talk, to do their own investigating, to chat with others, to really get a good insight to what they're voting for, so we never get into the situation again. Now, we can never say never because, sadly, there are in Joe Biden's defense, he was not smooth like most. He was smooth in his day. He was not smooth, people. So you can't say I was fooled by him because he was, charismatic and very articulate and smooth at the mic, because a lot of people follow what I call false gods almost. There are some certain people, and I will say this much, Obama would be one of them. I voted for Obama the first time around. Very articulate, very smooth, very eloquent at the podium, very presidential, really talked about the things that I wanted in this country, about change, equality, and all those things. And then the second term, or actually halfway through the first term, I realized I got sucked into the image of what I thought he was going to do. You can't say the same, sadly. you had to have had some blinders on if you use that as why you voted for Joe, because Joe is not smooth, he is not polished, he is not articulate. You know, there's some definitely something going on with him. So you take that personality piece of it away of why a lot of people vote for someone. Then you go to their track record. Well, Joe Biden doesn't have a very good track record either. You know, he's been in politics for, I think at that time, 45 years, whatever it may be, a lot of controversy, a lot of plagiarism, a lot of not good stuff. So if you can't go by his record and you can't go by his smoothness of his personality, my question would be then, what did he possess that knew without a doubt in your heart, and I say this very sincerely, you knew without a waver in your heart that he was best for our country? And I'm going to leave that there because I think people need to digest that, because it takes a strong postured person to say, you know what, I voted for him. I voted for him for A, B, and C. And what I'm seeing now is not what I thought he was going to do. And I regret my decision. That is someone that's postured in their belief to say, ooh, I made a mistake. And it's okay to make a mistake. We all do it. We're all human beings. But I think there's a lot of people that are their admittance of making a mistake is not for me, not for you, not for the world. It's for themselves. And I believe that's why you hear nothing, literally silence from the left to say, ooh, you made a mistake here. Now, do they really think that? They might, but a true postured person is going to say, I made a mistake. And now, sadly, I'm part of the problem as to why the country is where it is today, because I voted for him. You know, and that's the reality of it. So that's what I keep pushing about. We, the people, have to be positive together and really do our own due diligence to know what we're voting for. Always trying to, even in the worst of outcomes, try to find the positive in it so we don't make the same mistake again. And that's how you have a fantabulous Friday. You understand that you have to, even in the gravest situations, have to find the positive in everything. Because when you do, it's going to lead you to a new journey or a new direction, maybe new clarity, and you're going to feel good about that. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And speaking of Fantabulous Friday, I'm just waiting on confirmation on something. And then I do have something fantabulous to share, but I just need confirmation first before I go blurting it out. But so I'm really excited about that. Just so many great things happening. And creative think tank. What is in your creative think tank? How are you going to add a spin on your positivity with everything going on in the world today, right? I know that sometimes we touch on sensitive subjects, and many times I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to talk about this. I've been very vocal this week on how I feel about certain things, and I'm really proud of myself for standing up for my beliefs, as well as all of you should be. On that note, my name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0 with the damn chirping bird, and I am with TwoSistas,
and this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Bus Lady Canna, live from a beautiful Vero Beach. Going to be heading down to the beach today. I haven't been there in a couple of weeks, so I'm super excited. There's nothing like having Fantabulous Friday and listening to waves crashing, one of my all-time favorite things to do. But what will you do today to make sure and ensure that you have a Fantabulous Friday? Take that time, be in the silence, give yourself that positivity, because it's going to lead you to a new direction. And with that, we say goodbye, have a good weekend, and we will see you Monday for Mindset Monday. We'll have to kind of fill you in on what happened on all over the weekend. All good stuff. You guys take care.
Bye-bye, everyone.